Welcome back into the studio. Here's a pastel elephant drawing I've done, and I wanted to share with you guys on YouTube a section from my long, few hours long Patreon demonstration on this drawing about frisket film and exactly how I use it as a mask. Okay, so we can use this film to mask out areas, so when we're applying our pastels we don't have to worry about dirtying those particular areas. So if you're interested in seeing a really long version of this where I show step by step exactly how to draw and do these elephants with a lovely background as well and all the details, that's on the Patreon channel, but I hope you enjoy this short clip on YouTube. Okay, so as per usual, I've got my drawing already done on my grey pastel matte paper. Here's that frisket film. I chose the matte finish one. Okay, so they usually come either in sheets or rolls, so I've got it on this roll. One side has got the squares on it as a paper, the other side has got the film. It's just slightly tacky, it's not sticky. So you can peel an edge up. I used a knife to do it because it's not very easy to get the edge started. I cut the size of the sheet roughly to what I wanted it to be, or a little bit larger even, so that I could then put it on there and cover all the areas that I wanted. And I wanted to cover the elephants, so I'm just lining it up at the top, sticky side down, so I haven't removed all the paper from it. I just rub the top to seal it, and then as I gradually remove the paper, you see I'm just going to smooth it down, and you can take this on and off numerous times, so don't worry that it's got to be perfect straight off at all. We're just using it as a masking tool. Okay, so I'm rubbing it down, firm pressure, especially around the edges where I'm going to be cutting. Now I'm using pastel matte board so it sits nice and flat. Okay, so that's it really rubbed down. Now I'm using this scalpel. You can get these on all of the internet sites. Now the secret is it needs to be really sharp. So I've got a brand new blade in it, and I'm basically just using the weight of the blade. I'm not pushing down, I'm not cutting hard. So try this on some scrap paper, some pastel matte paper. Now I need to make sure that I'm cutting around the bits that I want to stay, so in between the legs, I want those areas to come off, because I'm using this to mask off the elephants themselves, and that's so that I can more freely apply the pastel to the background without worrying about lots of pastel getting onto the elephants, because they are quite light around the edges in some places, and you've probably seen lots and lots of my other videos where I don't use this Frisk film. This is the only time I've used it, so usually I just draw around the subject, even when I'm using pan pastels or pastel sticks. This is an optional thing you can use if you want to. It's nice to have lots of different tools in our toolbox, so to speak, so we can pick and select things we think. For instance, if I was doing a portrait, perhaps the eyes I really want to mask off because I don't want anything going in there. Perhaps they're really bright or white or vibrant. I don't want any colours contaminating, so I could mask them off. But the secret to doing this is 100% use a sharp blade. If you're using something like a Stanley knife and it's got an oldish blade in there, it's just not going to cut through the surface easily, and what you're going to do then is put a lot more pressure down on the blade. When you're putting pressure down, there's a chance that you can really start to damage the pastel matte paper surface. Now pastel matte, as you probably know, is very resilient. So we can do things like this and it's not going to affect the surface as long as we got that sharp knife and we're not pushing hard. So if you've got any scrap pastel matte around, try this out on some of that scrap. Really push hard to see how hard you can go before you start damaging it. That'll give you confidence then to do something like this. I'm being especially careful when I'm joining or on the edges. Okay, so when I cut out the area for the legs, I'm making sure I've gone all the way around it, so when I start to peel it off, it's not going to kind of snag in places where I've lifted the blade off. So this doesn't take long, but it can be a bit tricky to remember exactly where you're by. And then to lift the edge, so you just go in with a blade, lift the edge up a little bit like that, and then get your fingers and kind of test out to make sure you are cut in cleanly and fully. You see, and then if you've cut properly, it just pulls away. So I've gone up to here. I can see now where I need to keep going from. So these craft blades, these kind of surgical blades, as I said, they're really inexpensive, but that's what you need. They're a bit thinner than something like a Stanley knife blade, and they're really meant for doing something like this. So now I've cut all the way around, let's just peel it off. Comes off really easily. If it snags a little bit, so you just give it a bit more of a pull. All around there. So you can see how I've masked off the elephants. For these small areas, just peel it back again. These are the areas that I said about you want to make sure you've gone all the way around so that it comes off cleanly. And I'll do that in between the legs as well. And just lift these areas off. So that's going to allow me to put the background in loosely without worrying about the edges of the elephants. As I said, it's not necessary, you don't have to use this, but I think it's a handy tool for us to have kept in reserve if we want to keep an area nice and clean, or we want to do, like I said, something loose and more free, so we don't have to be worrying about the main subjects or bright light coloured areas. I don't think I need that frisket film on the elephants anymore, and it's causing glare as well, which I don't like. I've laid and blocked in the background, so I don't really need it, so I've just taken that off. Now I can see everything, as I said, without the glare of the lights coming back into my eyes, and start working on the elephants.